Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is the Voices of Healing podcast. I'm your host, Tina Clark. I'm a shamanic Reiki master teacher. And today's guest is Jeff Feinman. He is an expert in holistic health for pets. And that's the topic that we're going to talk about today, which I'm excited because I have not talked about this yet on the show. So you are the first, Dr. Feinman. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for approaching this important subject.
So tell us more about yourself and your background.
I am a scientist by training. My background is in molecular biology. Had research and went into veterinary medicine from there, and practiced strictly conventionally for about a decade. And then began gradually discovering other holistic modalities until the late 90s when I realized that it was still, even with the most of the holistic modalities like different supplements and foods and other things that act on the physical level, that I was not addressing the root. And back in the late 90s, I realized the root is at an energetic level, and that we did not learn anything about energy in vet school or in immunology school or any of the classes or work that I did. So the past 26 years for me have been exploring the energetic paradigm, and now integrating it in with what we do as animal caretakers, and that involves things that we'll talk about in a few minutes, I bet.
Yeah, so off the camera, we're discussing how we often focus on our health and human health, and we forget that our pets need that attention too. And whatever is bad for us is probably bad for them.
Exactly, and that's explained in um, one of the pillars of our path to pet wellness is called the vitality and balance system, which is a modern adaptation of Ayurveda, where it's all about vitality, cellular energy, and the balance of that. And part of that pillar is something called exposomics. Exposomics is like the follow-up to genomics, but instead of the genes, it focuses on how the body reacts to the environment, what exactly is going on in the body. So yeah, exposures and toxins and infectious disease and emotional issues are all part and parcel of people and animals.
hmm And so you discovered a long time ago that the root of disease is energetic, which kudos to you for figuring that out as a scientist, especially.
I really think there's only one thing that you need as a scientist to realize the reality of things like that, and that is an open mind. Part of being a real scientist is, exploring, is keeping your mind open. And unfortunately, nowadays, that's not always the way it is. So thank you for the kudos, but it was kind of a natural, I just was observing throughout my career and realized, that there was more than meets the eye. Whereas, gosh, what is the line from The Little Prince? What is essential is invisible to the eye.
Hmm.
Something like that.
I remember The Little Prince, that book. I don't really remember the story, but I remember having the book. So you realize that the root is energetic. So how do we get to the root of the problem?
That is a really, really important and really great question. You can actually see the root. You can actually see the energy flow or the evidence of the energy flow by what the body is doing. So the symptoms of the body or the body's way of trying to tell you what's going on with the energy flow. When the energy is flowing smoothly in the body, there are no abnormal symptoms. You don't get indigestion. Animals don't get diarrhea when they switch to another food. They don't have, goopy eyes or red ears. And then the question becomes, what do we do at that point? We've identified the problem, but what do we do? And that's where the energetic modalities come in. I myself have become a veterinary homeopath. So I address all those energetic imbalances via homeopathy.
Oh, awesome. So what do people need to know if they want to keep their pets healthy holistically? How do they begin?
Yeah, the very first thing they need to know is what we just discussed quickly, that there is more than the vets are telling us, or most people are telling us. I mean, you don't tell people that, it's all about the physical stuff that you see. It's about the invisible essence, or, what we know is the life force or vital force that really is most important. So what we start is by addressing that mindset and trying to shift that mindset. And we do that frequently by helping people help their animals. And when their animals get better, that's when people begin to realize that maybe it makes sense what we're doing. What we're doing is, what I'm doing right now, I'm doing nothing I learned in vet school, put it that way.
Yeah.
Diagnostics, examinations, identification of what's going on in the body. That's it. That's it. No antis. Medicine, especially veterinary medicine, is based on antis, antibiotics, anti-inflammatories, anti-this, anti-that. And that's telling the body, no, you can't do what you're trying to do. And the root is addressed by telling you, yes, and here's how you can flow more smoothly. And there are practical ways to achieve that in animals.
Yeah.
It's actually very easy in animals, much easier than people.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with that, because if you study the chakra system, which is the 7 main energy centers of the body, there's actually more, but the 7 main ones, and you look at where the issue is in the body or the pain is in the body and find the nearest chakra, each chakra represents parts of your life. So like the throat chakra represents being authentic and speaking your truth, having good boundaries, not holding back your truth. And so if you have any throat issues, that's what you need to work on to get that energy flowing again and clear again.
Yeah, and we can often, that's one of the beauties of things like healing touch for animals or therapeutic massage. You can frequently work with the fascia in the body and indirectly with the chakras, or directly, through Reiki or homeopathy or any other of the energetic modalities. Acupuncture does a beautiful job of doing that, but unfortunately now in veterinary medicine, we've got a lot of medical acupuncturists. So what they're doing is using acupuncture points like drugs.
Mm.
your animal has so-and-so diagnosis, we're going to use these points. But as you know, acupuncture or traditional Chinese medicine or homeopathy or any energy modality needs to look at the entire totality
Mhm.
of the individual. And that's how you can best address it.
So does homeopathy for animals, is that similar to the uses of by humans?
Exactly the same remedies, same fundamentals, same everything. We just use these symptom clues as a guide to the homeopathic medicines that can cause the same symptoms and help
So I
you.
feel like what you're doing is quite unique. I mean, I feel like a lot of the vet offices now are just being bought out by big corporations and it's all about making money. And I mean, how many vets are there like you in the US?
Well, I mean, our path to pet wellness is kind of unique, so I'd have to say not that many, but there are quite a few holistic vets and vets with open minds. We've got about 125 veterinary homeopaths right now as part of our organization in the US and Canada. It's still the minority, but it's growing. It's
That's
definitely
good.
growing. But in order to grow, we need to get the word out,
Right.
which is why I'm here.
Yes. And which is why I'm here and why I started the podcast. So, what would you like to share about your practice or, about homeopathy for animals or what do you think people need to know?
Well, it's all in my upcoming Path to Pet Wellness book. So everything you need to know is in there, or you can go to, actually, my practice is now a micro practice. It's really I only see a few people a week versus, a dozen a day when I was practicing as a conventional vet. Majority of what I do is online. It's actually a pet parent platform where you can go to learn what we're talking about, as well as what you can do about any particular issues in your animals. And that's called holisticactionswithness.com. And we are global now, so it's around the world in a lot of countries. And everyone around the world is learning to work with life instead of against it.
Good. So, since you brought that up, can you share like how people can contact you or make an appointment and how to find your book?
Yeah, the very best way to reach out is at holisticactions.com, and we've got a free course that gives you the fundamentals of what we're talking about.
Oh, great.
And so I do recommend everyone that's listening go to holisticactions.com and sign up for the free course. For the book, it's holisticactions.com/book-waitlist. And right now we're planning a series of waitlist webinars. People that are on the waitlist can get webinars describing, all the facets of the method, the conscious compassion communication method. There's a happiness protocol. There's a lot of stuff.
Okay. And you can only get your book through your website?
Now the book is not available. The book is not
Oh,
that's the wait list for the book.
oh, okay. So it's not out yet.
It will not be in Barnes and Nobles or available in your bookseller until around Valentine's Day, until around
Okay.
February of next year. Yeah, the book preview is available now, and actually the first 22 pages of the book are at that book waitlist, and you'll get a copy of that right away.
Okay, great.
And that might be enough to just change your mindset, shift your mindset, because it does begin to explore a different way of being with animals.
Okay. Well,
More heartfelt and less brain-centered. Because, most of us go into veterinary school as heartfelt animal lovers, but we come out, as Gabor Mate calls it, the cult of medicine, where you've got blinders on, you're only able to see what you were taught. And that's pretty much why when you go to your vet or you go to your conventional breeder or groomer or trainer or whatnot, they can all give you the same kind of answers, which are based on what we know in veterinary medicine, which is not at all involving the energy of the body, the life force of the body.
yeah. And of course, we have to look at all aspects holistically in order to really experience true healing. If we just focus on the physical, I mean, there's so much. The physical is like one of the last places the symptoms show.
Exactly. And that's what the very first thing we teach is called beam. It's in the beam of light from the sun, or walking on the balance beam, or if you're in Trekkie like me, like the tractor beam from Star Trek Enterprise, pulls you to a place of health. And beam is an acronym that stands for behavior, energy, appetite, and mood. Those four things reflect what's going on in your animals way before anything physical crops up.
And what does the A stand for again?
Appetite.
Appetite. Okay.
So animals are designed to be good eaters and eat pretty much whatever is offered to them and eat it happily. And some animals, are thrilled by any food, but at least eat it. But nowadays, we've got an epidemic of picky cats or dogs that can only eat one kind of food or another, and that is a drop in the beam. That's not normal. And then we can get into the next step after beam, which is start feeding a species appropriate diet. Dogs and cats are not designed to eat ultra processed food like dry food or canned food. And when we get them on fresh food, we can see their health being transformed because their bodies are getting the raw materials to do their job.
Just like humans.
Just like humans. And that's really the big take home, is that we can help the health of our animals by making believe that they're like a healthy person. They get plenty of exercise, they're eating fresh food, they've got mental enrichment, minimal stress, and minimal antis, or no antis. I mean, many of us live our lives trying to go with the flow, or just say yes, which is the opposite of blocking it by an anti.
Well, thank you, Dr. Jeff, for being on the show. All that information on contacting him will be in the notes. Again, the book is coming out around Valentine's Day 2026, but parts of the book are being released now and are available. So go to his website to get on that wait list.
All right, Tina. Well, thank you for everything. Thank you for your work, and talk soon, I hope.
All right. Thank you.